I think sometimes when people think of millennials, they think of overeducated, underemployed, coffee baristas. I mean, there's sort of very negative associations of who I think this generation is, particularly when it comes to education levels. And one of the things that I find really interesting is when you dig into the data, a majority of millennials still do not have a traditional four-year college degree. And yet we continue to hear the candidates talk to us through the lens of student debt or college affordability, which no doubt are very important issues. But I'm wondering for you all, I mean, how does that affect, or the way that candidates are talking about the issues that you care about, affect how you feel about not only voting, but about the particular candidates that you have to vote for this November?
I think a huge thing, I will just say one huge thing for millennials, and I have no idea if this happens to other generations too, but I think you definitely see it this election cycle is authenticity. And they really care about being treated as like a full-fledged adult, which we are, but and also not being pandered to. And I don't know if old people don't like to be pandered to, but we definitely don't. And I think you saw this with the Not My Abuela hashtag after Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Can you fill folks in on that? Yeah, real quick.
Well, I just know there was some backlash to something that Hillary Clinton did that was perceived as pandering to the Hispanic community.
Yeah, Jessica, do you want to fill folks in real quick, just so that they know the backstory?
So I think from what I remember, she made this little video of kind of like how she relates to the Hispanic community and kind of saying that all these, I'm similar to your grandmother. And so then all these memes started coming up, and people were like, you don't represent my grandmother. You're like, you can't just pretend that you do these things that Latinos do and try to say that you're like my grandmother.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Hillary's been tough for a lot of millennials to support, is because she's seen as not an authentic candidate. And whether you want to go into the whole sexism issues surrounding that or not, but it's clear that someone like Bernie Sanders does come off as more authentic and more genuine, and that's really important to millennials throughout their lives, not just in their political choices.
I completely agree with that, especially because a lot of the people around me are like, well, Hillary Clinton seems to only speak about this when she thinks that she's going to get somebody to go and vote for her, versus like, this is in her platform, and this has been in there the whole time, instead of, okay, along the way, she's been changing her mind about things. And you notice that, like whether you started like with these certain ideas in the beginning, and then you've been changing, like, can we really trust you? Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what comes with having decades of experience and working in politics, is that like, yeah, you've changed your mind on big issues, just like I've changed my mind, on over the course of my life over, many issues. And I think the authenticity, I mean, this is probably gonna be unpopular, but I actually do get annoyed with the way that some millennials choose candidates as like, and I think Obama is a perfect example of someone who is totally authentic or appears to be very authentic and energizes and inspires. But I don't think that that's how we should choose who leads our country. Like, I don't necessarily, I think I would want to have a beer with Hillary Clinton, like for sure, but I also think that's not what should determine who should be the leader of the free world.
I think the politics of authenticity are so interesting because interpersonally, when people say, well, I'm just keeping it real, I'm just being honest, it's usually after they've said something incredibly rude, right? That's I'm just keeping it real. Now, and then if you take that to the next level of communication, people say, well, I'm just not about that political correctness. And I'm like, okay, but have you noticed that your being politically incorrect almost always skews towards you saying something incredibly offensive as opposed to something challenging, right? And so, and again, I feel the same way. I look to effectiveness. That's what I'm more interested in. I'm not trying to have brunch with Hillary Clinton, and I'm not trying to have anything with Donald Trump. I'm interested in a leader who can get things done, who can face what appears to me to be one of the most intractable Congresses this country has ever seen. And so, knowing that authenticity is just something that's just a veneer, I don't trust it. And I think I hope I hope all voters can move past that as a concern, because I think it's used as a weapon. I think it's used against women. I think it's used against people of color in manipulative ways. And I think straight white men, it's like, well, what does it mean to be an authentic straight white man? Rich and powerful. Oh, you got it. You know, so it's like, it's not a very fair fight or platform, really.